Welcome to the Pawsome Companion, where pets are part of our family. I'm your host, Joanna Herrera, the founder of Coco and Bone Diet. I'm very excited to interview experts and pet owners to share their stories and insights so you can use them to take care of your babies. I'm very happy to see you here, Sophie. Thank you for coming and visiting us. So today we got Sophie, who has over a decade working in See Differently, assisting dogs in the service team. Sophie began in the puppy program as a puppy educator and supervisor, supporting volunteers with the training of their puppies for future assistant in dog roles. She then completed an internal cadetship and commenced an assistant dog instructor, providing OPK9 assistant dogs to veterans with PTSD, with the aim to help mitigate symptoms of PTSD through training task work, and also has been involved in development of animal-assisted therapy program, which is conducted in collaboration with the OT department as See Differently. Over the years in the industry, Sophie has gained experience in supporting volunteers and clients of service backgrounds and training dogs at different stages of development. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. We are really thrilled to come and talk about See Differently and our Canine program.
Amazing. So who is this amazing dog that we got here?
So today I've got Artie with me. Artie's a 2-year-old black lab. Artie is in our formal training. So he is at the stage of training where we're really starting to hone in on his task work and his advanced training skills while looking at that right client or veteran in this case that he'll be able to assist down the track.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how old is him?
He's 2.
2 years old. So normally for assistant dogs, those animals have to have the same age, or how old they can get to do this sort of role?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. So all of our puppies start out, obviously, in our puppy program. We have our internal breeding program. We breed dogs for specific traits, temperaments, health, for longevity in the role. And for that first year, the puppies are out with volunteer families. Following that, they come in for what we call formal training. Okay. And that's where we really work on their expertise, what they're going to need to support a client. By the age of around 18 months to 2, that's where we're really looking at getting that dog out working with a client. And the dog will go on for that working role and really retire around the age of 10. Okay. So they have a long time out with the client to support them.
Okay. So what happens when the dog retires? The client acquires a new dog?
Well, that's
can have the same dog.
Yeah, so when the dog retires, naturally there's a really, strong bond. That client has worked with that dog and the dog supported them for a long time. When they do retire, in majority of cases, the dog will retire and remain with that client. They just will no longer have the public access rights. Yeah. So they will become a pet dog. They will sleep in the sun during the day, do all of those things a pet dog does. We're at an interesting point in our program at the moment. Yeah. So we've been around for 10 years, and speaking to that 10-year life cycle of the working dog, we are at the stage that we are, retiring many dogs. Yeah. And in that instance, some of those clients are coming back for another dog, for a successor dog, we call it, where the other clients are at the stage that they are not wanting to go through with another referral for another dog. So,
okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to this veteran program that you are a part of. So tell us a little bit more about how it works, who is eligible to obtain this sort of service, and obviously the dog. We would like to learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. So See Differently has obviously been in South Australia for many, many years, and we have been supporting our vision impaired clients through our guide dog program. Yep. And what not many people know is that we also have a program, as you said, for veterans with PTSD. So PTSD being post-traumatic stress disorder, and that is called the OPK9 program. The OPK9 program started 10 years ago. Okay. We established the program in 2014, and we were really some of the early adopters of this work in Australia.
Sorry, See Differently is only in Adelaide, right?
Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, South Australian based. So our clients for OPK9 are in South Australia. So we started the program 10 years ago. Yep. So we've been supporting clients in this space for 10 years. As we have evolved in our program, we have we have got government funding, DVA funding or Department of Veterans Affairs. So in 2019, we got that funding, which really helps for us to get more dogs out with more clients that need it. In those early days, we were involved in studies with the University of Adelaide with the Centre for Traumatic Stress Studies.
Okay.
And what we found, we called them longitudinal studies. So they were working with clients that were referred to us when they first came on board, while we were working with them, when they got their dog, and for intervals following that. And what they found through that research is that these dogs, they had the ability to increase things such as social interactions, physical activity, sense of worth, which for someone that has PTSD, they're really deprived of those areas.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
On the flip side, they found that levels of, depression, stress and anxiety were also decreasing. So we were really, with that research finding, able to get that funding to bulk our program up and support more clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so all of our clients have served in the military. They have a diagnosis of PTSD and, their psychologist refers them to the Department of Veterans Affairs, and those referrals then come on to us so we can really start engaging with that individual and, looking at options for assistance dogs to help them.
So can you please tell us a little bit more about the symptoms that those patients have?
Yeah.
And what are the sort of tasks that are taught to a dog to do while they're with their veterans, let's say?
Of course. So, PTSD will present differently for everyone, but, many of the clients we do work with are very socially isolated.
Okay.
They are not people that are comfortable necessarily leaving the home or doing all those things they once did. They may suffer from things called, flashbacks, nightmares, night terrors, memories of past experiences that can be very debilitating for people. And the great thing about these dogs is that clients will do something for a dog that can be really hard to do for other people. So as we get to know our clients, and we have our program's based around engagement and high engagement levels with our clients. So we can really get to understand them. There's different factors we need to understand when we first start working with them. We need to understand, what their medical aspects as such, their psychological health. So we can understand, okay, what do we need a dog to do? How does PTSD present for this person?
Yeah.
What are the goals? But how can we use a dog to get to those goals? So some of the task work that our dogs are trained to do, we talk a lot about interruption work. And when I talk about interruption work, when we start to feel stressed or anxious, we'll often give off a cue. And that cue could be shaking of the legs. Some of us will rub our hands. And that'll be those early stages that anxiety is starting to rise and we're becoming more heightened. And what we get to know our clients very well and get to know what those symptoms are. And we can train the dogs to pick up on that.
Yeah,
so
okay.
If the legs start shaking, dogs will pick up on it and they'll come and offer a behaviour to interrupt that. And that behaviour may be coming and placing the head in the lap with really deep pressure. And that's that grounding, regulation.
And I hear, not only for this type of dogs, but I hear that dogs can feel human feelings.
They're very intuitive.
They can feel you if you're stressed or if you are not feeling right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we can train on visual cues that individual would give off, and we can mimic what the behaviour of the client would do at the time, and train the dog to do that, transfer that to the client. Other aspects could be things like, many of our clients have got past injuries. They may have bad backs. They may have other ailments that are really debilitating. So we can train the dogs in things like retrieval work. And when I say that, it might be picking up the leash and bringing it over, or picking up misplaced or dropped items.
Yeah.
Just so to take away that, the taxing aspect on the body. The other aspect with that retrieval work that's really nice though, and what I have seen with some clients, it's really that period before leaving the home. So before someone leaves the home, we get our keys, we get our wallet, but for many clients that we work with, that's the time where it's either my anxiety goes up and I can't go, or I leave. And we can use the dog for that. So I've seen dogs that will go and get their leash and they'll bring it over. They go get their jacket, they'll bring it over, get their little backpack, bring it over. And it completely changes the circumstances before you leave. Yeah. Because that dog is excited and motivated to get out. And it's very hard to say no to a dog that's bringing everything, saying, let's go together. Yeah. So we can bring that task work around that aspect too. And And another really big one that we do a lot of work in is grounding and deep pressure. So dog offering, again, that visit, the hug across the laps, deep pressure snuggles at night when someone is, having night terrors or nightmares. And that can just really help with that regulation and grounding for the individual.
So the dog sleep next to the person? Or
dogs will often sleep on the floor next to the person's bed. But, if that person does get working with a night terror, the dog can come over, nudge. They can be asked to come up and lie across the person for that grounding. So it's really tailored to what the individual needs, which is the great thing about our program. Yeah. So we get to know our clients really well. So we know what kind of dog they need and what we have to train the dog to do. So dogs are really custom trained for people.
Absolutely, yeah. So do you, let's say you get a patient.
Yeah.
You have a few consultations with the patient. That person, you understand their needs and goals and what the person needs. You go pick the dog, train the dog for a few months, I would say, or how long do you train it?
So there's probably two things happening in parallel. We've got our dogs going through our puppy program and coming in for formal training. And we have wonderful trainers and instructors that are working with those dogs every day. So it's kind of like school. Or let's say it's university. The dogs get dropped to us in the morning, picked up in the evening, and during the day they learn and they train. Yeah. And while we've got those dogs learning and training, we've also got clients coming through to our program and we are assessing their needs. And once they're on our wait list, we will work with that client, ideally fortnightly every 3 weeks. And that often starts off in our headquarters at Gilles Plains. And what we're really wanting to do is form trust in a relationship with that person. So once you have that, you can teach and you can share knowledge and you can start to grow that independence. So we start that high engagement, and while we're doing that, we're working different dogs with that person, and we are looking at what their needs are, starting to go out into areas that may have more pressure and, within their comfort zone still, and really starting to see, what kind of dog is going to be the best one for this person? And that's how we're then able to match the dog to the individual. So we look at a lot of different aspects. And
this is amazing.
Once we match the dog, there's something we call a class. So that's really a 2-week intensive training session. Yeah. And it's really like the 101 of your dog. And we will really hone in on the requirements of that person, like is travel, airport, is bus transport, what's their local area, and we'll just work with that individual on a one-on-one basis to teach them everything about their dog. So when they qualify together, they've got such a wonderful level of experience and support that they can just hit that level of independence together.
Amazing.
And start off.
So how long, if you acquire this, let's say, post-traumatic situation after you have been working during those difficult works that the patient used to do, when the people get diagnosed and they got a dog, for how long they have to have the dog? Is there any number of years, or they have to have the guide dog forever? What are the recommendations?
Look, if a client gets referred to us for an assistance dog, that assistance dog is going to be assisting them until the dog retires, unless there's a huge change in circumstance, But that dog will be with that individual working ideally for the next 8 years. And once they do start working together, we don't just say, here's your dog, off you go. We have a level of support. So we will see that client over that 8-year journey at certain intervals. And if they need extra support, we're there to support at any time. So it is really a supported journey for the team that we, have the privilege of seeing for an 8-year journey, realistically.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So how many patients at the moment do you have?
We've got about around 60 dogs are in a working capacity. Okay. There are, there's such a need for this line of work and this level of support for veterans with PTSD. So
absolutely,
we are very lucky to be providing this. The See Differently Canine program, a thing that sets our program apart is we're an ADI accredited program. So ADI is Assistance Dogs International. And what that is really the worldwide organisation that oversees assistance dogs around the world and really sets the standards for the training of the puppies, the dogs, the clients, and the standard of care that those people receive for the journey of their working life with their dog. And what that means is obviously that the clients can jump on a plane and go visit family interstate with their dog, and they can do all those things. The dogs do have that public access right because we've got that level of accreditation. So, we're a beautifully positioned program to support clients in this space.
That's great.
We just want to get more and more dogs.
Yeah. So how like what would be like? I know that you were talking about capacity 60 dogs.
Yeah.
But is there any aim, for example, this year to get to a certain number of clients and dogs?
We would love to just increase the amount of dogs that we can put out and help as many people as we can. You are obviously limited by resources and capacity and how many staff you have that can get these dogs out as well. So that's something, ideally we'd love to grow this program and help as many people as we can.
Yeah. You were mentioning that, like out of the cameras, because we haven't said that this here, but you mentioned that you need like volunteers to be part. So how does it work, and what a volunteer will require to be part of this program if wants to get involved with Sydney?
Look, see differently, we couldn't survive or do that guide dog program or canine program without volunteers. So we have got over 180 volunteers that help us in our guide and assistance dogs section.
Yeah.
Our puppies are raised with volunteers. So our whelps, our little litters of puppies are born in volunteer homes. At 8 weeks, they go out with puppy educators. And those puppy educators, they are really the foundation of the puppy's learning. So for that first 12 months, that pup will go to school run, Saturday sport, drop-offs, pickups, work, and really learn the normality and hustle and bustle of life, let's say, and get exposed to all the different range of things.
Yeah.
They are involved in regular puppy classes with our staff. So it's guided. There's support to those individuals so that they are, working on age-appropriate aspects for those puppies as they develop. We have something called emergency boarders. And let's say that's like a babysitting service. So if our volunteers that have the little puppies go away, or if, let's say, Artie's client goes on a holiday and for some reason can't take him, we can call on our emergency boarders and see if they're free, and then they'll look after the dog for that time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then we have a really fun one. It's called bed and breakfast boarding. Artie's with a bed and breakfast boarder at the moment, so that may be for a 4 or 6 month period. He gets dropped into our office at 9 in the morning, picked up at 5 at night, spends his day training and learning, goes home to a family. So that's kind of like being dropped at school for the day.
She's like, I want to go back home.
Yeah, so look, without the volunteers and donors, we couldn't get these dogs out to clients. And we are always looking for people that are wanting to volunteer and wanting to be part of it, and really encouraging.
And you were a volunteer when you started, right?
I wasn't. I worked with volunteers.
You worked with volunteers.
So I worked in our puppy program, supporting volunteers with their puppies in that training aspect. So I really started with the puppy side of it and have evolved to the client side. But yeah, volunteers are just... and it's quite amazing when you think about it. Like Artie will go out to work with a client, and there's this whole kind of fabric of people that have been involved in his journey to get that dog from A to B. So it's a pretty outstanding program when you break it down to that.
Yeah, and there is a lot of things in between, like having volunteers that have to also support and take care of those dogs while you are training them at the same time, then going to the client, being able to see if they can click the client to stay with the client, otherwise they have to go back. So it's there's a lot of
parallels running at the same time to get a dog out with the client.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this will be like more a personal question for you. Like, what are the things that you love the most of this job?
Yeah, it's a big answer, or it's a big question. I think it's a 3-phase answer. What I love about this job is, we work with a wonderful group of trainers and professionals that work with we're wanting to make people's lives better and independence better. So there's that level of empathy of the people within your team. I think, we walk into work in the morning and we hear tails banging on the wall because the dogs are so excited to see you. I'm sure your listeners who are dog lovers would appreciate that's joy.
Probably one of the best part of being interviewing a lot of people in this particular podcast is because we get clients or the speakers, like people who come and visit with their dogs, and it brings so much joy because they are like babies smiling, like very excited to see people.
It is very humbling to walk into something, and it doesn't matter if you've had a sleepless night or what you've had. You get there and these things are just so happy. They're like, you're back again.
Yes.
And they're so happy to see you. But then I think the other aspect that is the really rewarding one for me as well is the client aspect. You know, we're let into people's lives, and we work with clients that are Vietnam vets. We work with clients that have, you know, served in more recent conflicts, and we get to know their experiences. They entrust us with that.
Yeah.
And we can use this beautiful dog as the bridge to get that person back to independence, which is a pretty special thing to be part of. So, it's a beautiful industry to get into.
Yeah. And I feel like there is like for those people who wants to be veterinarians or things like that, this will be like a great start if they want to volunteer and be part of the City Friendly family as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it is. It's a wonderful, wonderful organisation.
So is there any recommendations you will leave for veterans that probably they are feeling these symptoms, they are not quite sure if they should like go and see like a doctor and get like support? Is there anything you can say to them if we have listeners who are like watching this episode?
I think you know, our clients we work with, they do have a wonderful specialist team around them, and it's important to talk to that team, you know, about symptoms, and that team will be very well educated in the role of assistance dogs and the difference they can make. And if that is something that clients are interested in, I think that's definitely a conversation to have. And Departments of Veterans Affairs, who do fund our program, they do have information about it's called the Psychiatric Assistance Dog Program, and there is more information that can be read on their website as well. Or feel free to call us and we can always give more information.
That's amazing. One last question. So regarding the dogs, I know that guide dogs, you cannot touch them while they are on a walk.
Yes.
How does it work with these assistance dogs?
That's
completely different.
It's a very good question. So assistance dogs, you know, guide dog is an assistance dog. This is a different kind of assistance dog.
Okay.
But
and those were different sort of jackets, right?
Different jackets, absolutely. Guide dogs wear a harness. Artie, you'll see he's got his beautiful black jacket on here.
Yes.
And that black jacket, you know, we have a Assistance Dog International logo on it. That is public access, this jacket.
Okay.
So he can go into the shops with this, and, you know, obviously means that he is able to be in there. But in terms of assistance dogs, you know, seeing assistance dogs in public settings, it is the same rules realistically in terms of touching a dog, because these dogs, when they're out there in a working capacity, and they are working to help to, you know, keep someone in that environment and to keep that person feeling comfortable. One of the wonderful aspects with Op Canine dogs is they are a catalyst for social interaction. You know, you walk into a shop with one of these dogs, or you walk anywhere and everyone smiles. And that's that beautiful feet, the Labrador Golden Retriever face and those eyes. They make you smile. And a lot of the clients we work with are really deprived of social interaction. So walking into the shops with one of these dogs, people will smile. And then they'll ask about your dog, and you'll get that beautiful conversation that you may not normally have. The important thing is always to ask before patting a dog. Some clients might say, yeah, look, you're welcome to pat my dog, but first I'm going to put him into a sit, or I'm going to ask him to shake. So they will guide members of the public how to pat their dog appropriately. But in many cases, they will likely say, look, we're working, sorry, not today.
Yeah.
So same thing applies in terms of touching the dogs, but people can always ask and they'd be guided by the client.
Yeah, because this has been one of the questions for our listeners of how to obviously behave in front of assistant dogs.
It's a good question.
It's a good question to obviously keep in mind. Before, I didn't know. After we had the interview with the person from Guide Dogs last time, I wasn't aware. I wanted to have an explanation of why you could not like grab a dog while he was like working, and it's also feel the dog anxious because he's trying to do a job, trying to concentrate.
Yeah.
Because they love patting and all of that while they are not on the jacket.
Yep.
So it's completely different.
Yeah, that's right. So no, it is a working dog, it is. And it is something we are always wanting to do, advocate and educate members of the public about, if you see a working dog, especially in this op canine capacity, while we do love the social interaction for the client, people do need to ask and they'll be guided the right way.
Yeah. So we were talking about volunteering and how can people get in contact with C differently and probably learn about the different programs and identifying which sort of programs they want to be involved as volunteers or in which other ways people can volunteer. So we finalized the interview.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we've got the different volunteering options if you are wanting to volunteer with our puppies and our dogs and assist clients when they go away with that emergency boarding. We do have details about that on our website.
Okay. So you were saying that you will find all the information on the website?
Absolutely, yeah. If you go to our website, go into our volunteer section, you'll be able to see the different options available and how to start that process.
That's amazing. So they will probably get to meet you.
Yeah.
And learn a little bit.
And hopefully we'll be seeing lots of your listeners down the track.
Yeah, we would love to.
Thank
you so much for coming and visiting us. And people would love to obviously learn and thank you for that, for being sharing a little bit more of See Differently and the different programs that you offer as well.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Pawsome Companion. If you have any further questions for our experts, feel free to leave them in the show notes or reach out to me directly. And if you are a pet expert who would love to contribute to this podcast, we will be thrilled to hear from you. Don't forget to follow us, and if you enjoyed today's episode, we will really appreciate a 5-star review. Thanks again, and we will see you at the next episode.